Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Dylan Silver, and today on the show we have Zac D'Amato in Ohio, a mortgage advisor based in Ohio. Zac, welcome to the show.
Oh man, it's good to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, man. Before we hopped on here, I always like to get folks background, how they got into the real estate space. How did you break into real estate?
Well, before I got into mortgages, I used to run a sales team. I had about 1,000 people nationwide, part of a telecom company, and I was just sick and tired of that business, looking for something different. And I landed in real estate. I reached out to a friend of mine. I ran a marketing company also, so I reached out to a marketing client and asked him to teach me the business, and he taught me the business. I said, "Hey, I'll run your ads for free. I will make calls for free. Pay me a commission if they close, but I just want to learn the business." So that's what I did.
Okay, so I'm imagining, I'm thinking about Texas, lots of tests that we had to take to get our real estate license. I'm imagining there was some exams and maybe some classroom hours involved.
Yeah, yeah, of course. I mean, to be a mortgage professional, you have to pass, tests. You have to take, X amount of hours depending on what state you're in, and yeah, it's a process. You have to go through background checks, credit checks, things like that.
So as you're doing this and you're going out of running a sales team into becoming a mortgage advisor, is it a slow burn, or is it like one day you wake up and you're like, this is what I'm gonna do?
It was kind of a slow burn. When you're leveraging and then you have people that's generating you income, you tend to not just tell them all to stop, right? You just stop recruiting. You just slow down, and so that's what I did.
So then going from a high pace, sales team, 1,000 people you mentioned, to then going into mortgage advising, was it a lifestyle shift? Was it a day-to-day shift, or was it more or less you ran the first couple days and the first month and year just like you were running at the sales position?
It was definitely a shift, right? I wanted to, going from having a team of 1,000 people and then shrinking that down. Um, I wanted to be a hermit. I think that's what I wanted to do. I didn't want to talk or build sales teams. I wanted to just focus on me, and that's what I wanted to do. That business was really challenging for me. We took a company from zero to 250 million in that telecom space. But
Wow.
unfortunately, it wasn't just me. It wasn't just me. It was a group of us, and um, I wanted to get out because I lost some friends, and sometimes money changes people, unfortunately. So
That can happen. So you go from that to being a mortgage advisor. And was the first year smooth sailing, or was there lots of obstacles and lots of learning through trial and experience in that first year?
I'm a kinesthetic learner. You got to jump. I just jump right in, and so there was a lot of learning to do. But because I had marketing experience, I knew that was the main thing that I had to do as a mortgage loan originator. So that's what I did. Is I just did marketing. I did sales. I worked for a gentleman for 4 months. I closed 4 transactions in 3 months, and then on the fourth month, when I had two or three more transactions, he told me that he's going to change my compensation drastically. So then I went to another company,
Mm.
and been to two other companies since then. But just last year, I decided to stop being a hermit and start building a team again.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
Okay, so going back into maybe a team, large scale organization, and picking up the pace. I Let's back up a bit here, Zach. For folks who may be thinking about themselves on the outside looking in and looking to get their first home, without giving away all the game here, Zach, why is it generally better for someone in Ohio, or you can't speak for Texas, but generally speaking, to go to a mortgage advisor versus just to go to their bank, and go to one destination? What's the benefit of going to someone in a mortgage advisory role?
I'm not here to knock big banks. Sometimes they have great products that could serve the client, but most of the time, what we find out is a mortgage broker. Okay, I'm a mortgage advisor who's an independent mortgage broker. And so, what that means really is I have options. And so, big banks, they have a box, 720 FICO, 15, 20% down, and they're a depository. So, they're going to require that you deposit money in their bank to get the best deal. But a mortgage broker, they have options. And so I could shop rates, not only find the best product, but I could find the best rate and the best terms for the borrower. So, it's very simple, one option versus many options.
So when I think about this, I came from a car sales background, Zach. So I was working for Nissan, was the tail end of it, and when I was doing that, we had the box F&I, the finance and insurance team, right? And they would call banks and sometimes quite literally negotiate rates with banks to try to put together a deal so that this person can buy this car. Now, this is all happening in one day, right? So it's kind of a warp speed process, sometimes even just an hour, right? Is that on a really broad strokes something similar that is happening when a mortgage broker calls a bank? Is there a negotiation happening at all?
That's a great question. One thing I like to tell people is when you go buy a car, you go to a car dealership. Okay. And the car dealership then takes an application and they do something called shotgun your credit. And what that means is they actually send that application to many different lenders. And each lender actually runs your credit, which is, harmful to most people. Imagine getting your credit 10, 15 times hit from one application. But a mortgage broker, they look at an application one time, they run credit one time, and then they're able to shop the rates. Because you're looking at many different lenders, yes, there's some opportunities there to help with lowering your rate, lowering fees, things like that. But at the end of the day, it's matching up the guidelines to the borrower's needs, making sure the borrower is a right fit for this program so they could get the right product and the best rate.
Selfishly, Zach, I'm thinking about when I get these pre-approval notifications on my Capital One app saying that I can go buy a car now. Does that exist for, I don't have any deeds in my name. I hope to soon, but does that exist for homes? Will people get a notification on their Capital One or wherever that, hey, you now qualify for a home? Is that something that's happening?
The day of click get a mortgage is here. Yes, you could absolutely click and get a mortgage, but here's the thing is that if you're not speaking to somebody and you're just using technology to get a mortgage, I could guarantee that you're not getting the best mortgage, and more importantly, you're not getting educated along the way. And so a mortgage advisor, they're there similar to a financial advisor. I'm no financial advisor, right? That's a complete separate credential, but a mortgage advisor should position themselves as somebody who knows the goals, knows taxes, knows some concepts that are going to help the borrower become wealthy. Because, like, my mission
Mm.
is to help more people build wealth through real estate. So, understanding accelerated payments and amortization and compound interest is very important to educate the client and the borrower. And I think, when we look at owning a home, the wealth gap in America will be disrupted by home ownership, but you have to know what that means as a borrower.
This is a very interesting topic, I think, for middle class and lower middle class specifically, because people can feel like they're locked out. If you're millennial, Gen Z, uh, you can feel like you're locked out if you don't own a home, and specifically discouraged because you may work with a realtor who may tell you need this score, you need this income. Um, and it can be very discouraging when you're encountering these different types of situations. Are you able to guide people as far as next steps if they do not qualify, or is that something that they kind of have to do on their own?
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency, it's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
Absolutely. I mean, we sell from a servant's heart. And so when we talk to somebody who's not qualified today, it's okay. We want to take them through the process. Maybe they have to fix their taxes. Maybe they need to fix their credit. Maybe they need to learn some budgeting tips, right? And be loan ready, right? Loan preparedness is what they might need. And so we take them through the counseling program. And more importantly, not only give them a blueprint, but we also hold them accountable, because we know
Hmm.
that if you're held accountable, you will actually accomplish your goals about 90% of the time. So, and that's with me and you, Dylan, right? Whatever your goals
Yeah.
are in life, you need a coach, right? And you need someone to hold you accountable. For me, it's, my wife and my coach, right? They hold me accountable. But for the borrowers, they need a mortgage advisor who's going to help them hold them accountable with a servant's heart. Very important.
I just thought about this, Zach, pivoting back to the kind of click pre-approval idea. I certainly know from selling cars when I sold cars that you could get a approval, or it says approval, and it's not necessarily an approval. So does this ever happen where you get someone who says, look, I'm qualified for a home, and then it actually, for whatever reason, it's not a qualification. It's more like a let's open the door to go look down this, and a pre-approval, if you will.
Yep. Unfortunately, most people who get pre-approved are not pre-approved at all. They haven't looked at their taxes. They haven't looked at the documentation to truly pre-approve them. So, for me, when I talk to somebody, yes, I'm in the beginning, I'm asking them questions about their goals and what they think their income is. But a lot of times I'm dealing with business owners and I'm dealing with entrepreneurs who are savvy on their taxes. So when I ask them their income, but then I look at the tax documents to verify, most of the time there's such savvy business owners that they are writing off a lot of their income, and it
Mm,
looks like
they
on
have,
paper
yeah.
that they don't qualify. So we do bank statement loans, we do a lot of profit and loss statement loans. So we have solutions for that. But if you're just clicking to try to get a mortgage, you're not only going to get educated, but you're going to get, at the 11th hour, you're going to get a denial.
When people are coming to you, what is there a percentage that you would say that is, and forgive me if this is a very base level question because I'm brand new to the mortgage advisory space. Are predominantly people coming to you for traditional, for VA, for FHA, or is it a fair mix of everything?
For me, my online avatar is business owners, because I've
Okay.
always been in the entrepreneurial space. It seems like people who are entrepreneurs and business owners, they are attracted to me online. And so for me personally, I work with a lot of business owners. I do bank statement loans and other type of non-QM loans. But majority of people who get a mortgage, they're going to be your standard conventional, right? Conventional makes up most of the market.
Okay. For bank statement loans, this is a niche area of the industry. Are you finding that people, in many cases, have had difficulty elsewhere because, as you alluded to, Zach, they're taking so many deductions, they're not showing a tremendous profit at the end of the year, or none at all, and so they're having to maybe go to alternative means and finding it difficult, and then that's how they're reaching out to you.
Yeah, sometimes, I talk to people who they find me online and they say, "Hey, I know you're the person because I've worked with XYZ company and they drop the ball in the 11th hour. They don't communicate, but I seen your videos and I know you could help me." And that's a great thing because sometimes you don't know what you have until you've had something different, right? And so if they've experienced a different click, here's a mortgage, or they experience a local bank, they know we're different. But a lot of times people just come to me and it's their first time, right? They haven't talked to anybody else. They've been watching some of my videos, they've been seeing my ads for a year, 2 years, whatever the case is. And they finally reach out to me because now they're ready, now they're prepared. And the
You know,
market,
that's
the media in the market, kind of drives people to call us also.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
Yeah, it's the best time to buy a home was 10 years ago, but the next best time may be right now, you know? Uh, I think things will only go up. That's my un unprofessional opinion, but uh, I'm curious, you're starting out, going back to your origins as a mortgage advisor, you're starting out and to where you've grown today. Did you see that being an advisor to business owners was going to be the niche that you carved out, or was that a mix of divine intervention and, focused effort that got you there?
Yeah, when I got into the mortgage space, I actually didn't realize that was going to be my niche. But looking back at it, I should have known, right? I've always been an entrepreneur, even since a kid, right? A child, door knocking, selling magazines, painting people's fences, picking up the weeds, whatever the case is. And so I've always built businesses. I've built a handful of businesses. And so for me, I just didn't realize that until I started marketing and testing my ads, testing my conversions. And then I realized, wait, my avatar is business owners. That's what I should zero. I should go all in on.
So it sounds like you really saw a niche, carved it out for yourself. Then it was a mix of organic and then also targeted advertising to where now um, this is really what you're known for. If you need a mortgage and you are a business owner, right, taking lots of deductions, reach out to Zac D'Amato. Uh, and so talk about that scaling process from just getting into to where you are today as far as uh, client outreach and then also building that brand.
Oh, I'm still trying, man. I'm still trying to figure it out. But last year I decided I'm going to build a team. I'm going to build an office, right? So I went from working from home, right? Making, 150 grand a year, working 6 hours a day, to deciding that I'm going to build a team, build an office. And so that was, that realization really was something that came from me. You could call it divine, right? I just say it was Jesus, right? God Almighty, he said, hey, it's time to lick your wounds and stop being a hermit, because I know when I built businesses, I was around a lot of people, and I truly believe that ministry in the marketplace is the impact that the average person can make. And so for me, learning how to scale, I'm still trying to figure it out. Still trying to figure out how the team operates. We're not recruiting consistently like that. I have a team of like 5 people right now, but it's just figuring it out, trial and error. Yeah, I'm still trying to figure it out.
It's very interesting because I'm very passionate about marketing. And one of the things which I feel differentiated myself from just any other wholesaler was the marketing that I was putting out there. And so the partner that I was working with and am working with has a full-time graphic artist. So we have this graphic art that's going up, and it's a little outlandish, but people see it and they remember it. And then so even if they don't know me, they've seen the artwork and they see it on social media, and then I'm posting as frequently as I can. There's a rule I've heard, and I don't do it. I should be better about it, but 3 times a day. And I said, I don't know if I can do 3 times. Maybe I can do once. And so that's how it started, and it got rolling. And before you know it, I had wholesale deals going under contract. We found end buyers, and then I became known as a wholesaler. And then from there, got my license, and now I'm here sitting on this podcast. So just truly and as you know, Zach, like the power of fanatical networking, being guerrilla networking and marketing is, you cannot underestimate it. Yes, you got to be competent. Yes, you got to have those interpersonal tact and professionalism, but being a self promoter is both difficult for some people, it was for me, and crucial.
Yep. By the way, Dylan, I love you buy trap houses, right? And so oh, totally. Like you have to be a little outrageous, right? For people to remember you, right? Like
Yeah.
you have to be different, or else you blend in with all the other noise, right? And so
Yeah.
it's very, very important. For me, I'm not a big poster. I actually just started getting organic this year. I started using Opus Clip, and I'll make long form content. Like I'll take this podcast and I'll chop it up into a bunch of different clips. But you know, for me, I use paid advertising, right? I spend about $1,500 to $2,000 a month on paid advertising, and that's how I get my clients. 95% of my clients come through paid ads, and so I don't spend a lot of time posting. I spent more time this year than I did last year, but I spend very little time, maybe 4 hours a month.
That's, talk about asset management, which is something that my mentor says and that I'm passionate about. It's not just money, it's also your time, it's your relationships. It sounds like, Zach, you knew for better or for worse that the 1,000-man team and the sales life was not filling your soul, right? And so you went and as you described, that you became a hermit, but then also seeing the traction that you've been getting has inspired you to put your efforts and your life force and your spirit back into it in a way that is fulfilling. And so it's interesting, someone can be doing a similar thing a similar way and yield two totally different results for themselves. And I have that experience. And as an aside, when I was selling cars, it was 12-hour days. You would work 6 days a week, and just by the end of it, there were so many reasons why I got out of the business. But the biggest one was just the incredible feeling of like, this is not sitting well with me. It's hard to describe. And now, I'm putting in a similar amount of time into a totally different career, and it sits great with me because I'm talking to interesting people. I'm networking. They're connecting me with this person, with this person. I'm leveling up. I'm getting on a podcast, have my own podcast, and it's just a totally different vibe.
Yep, absolutely. I call it. Lately I've been calling it the Jesus burden. And so if you read the Bible, I'm not an expert in the Bible, but in the Bible it talks about, his burden is light, right? And so when you think about that, it doesn't say that there's little work. Okay? It just says the burden feels light, right? And so I think when you're aligned with your purpose, the burden feels light, right? There's a lot of talk, especially with the young kids today. They say, do what you love, do what you love. But I don't love every single thing that I do right now, but I'm aligned. I'm aligned with my purpose. And that fills me up, and that makes me want to do more, and makes me feel like it's not work at all.
Pivoting a bit here, Zach, I have selfishly a question as a real estate agent, and then also as someone who's going to work, with mortgage advisors and different folks in the industry. I heard in Texas when I'm going through my real estate school, and I've now seen that appraisals are really super critical for every part of the process, right? And so, uh, for someone who's maybe coming to you and not sure how this process works, and they're concerned about exactly what to do and when to do it and how the deal goes down, is it something that is critical and you talk about it ad nauseum, or is it not as serious or as crucial as some people make it seem? And what's your perspective on appraisals in general?
Well, the reality is there are some pockets in America where values have gone down, for sure. Majority of America, values are going up. Okay. But if you look at some pockets, and definitely some pockets in Texas, I think you definitely want to do the due diligence to make sure that it is going to appraise, right? And there's tools out there, resources out there that could help you find that. And so we want to do the due diligence up front. We don't want to just take the word of the borrower, what they think the house is worth. I work with a lot of investors who are doing fix and flip loans, and so sometimes the ARV, a lot of investors, right? They're optimistic, right? But
Yeah.
you need a mortgage advisor that is going to tell you the truth, right? And
Yeah.
tell you, hey, this is not a good deal. Your exit strategy is not going to work, because the reality is this: is that mortgage advisors, real estate agents, they all contractors, they all make money off of you. So of course, it's a great deal. And transactionally, if you work with people who are just thinking about a transaction, they're going to tell you it's a good deal. So you have to have a team that are going to tell you, no, I don't think so. I don't think this is a good deal. Tell me why you think it's a good deal. And so I think appraisals are important, but more importantly, it's the right team to make sure that it's going to work out.
Yeah, to your point, Zach, you can look at, especially as a new investor, you can look at this thing through rose-colored glasses, and you could say, look, this is what they're going for in the market. This is what we think the repairs are going to be. Everything's lined up, boom, 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 boom. But specifically for fix and flipping, I mean, it doesn't even really depend on the decade, but specifically if you're looking at an older home, you tear down the wall, you rip up the subfloor, crack in the foundation, there's serious electrical issues, it can be massively over budget. And then there's no guarantee that it's going to sell for what you think it'll sell for. And on top of that, if it does, it could take, 6 months, right? So there's so many moving pieces. I'm actually glad that we're talking because I didn't realize that mortgage advisors ever told clients, this might not be a good investment for you.
Yeah, a lot of what I tell people is I ask them what the exit strategy is. And I tell people all the time it's not going to work out for them. And sometimes they take my advice. Sometimes they find another transactional mortgage advisor who just says yes. Because there's a difference between getting the deal done as a mortgage advisor
Yeah.
and the borrower making money, right? Like I've talked to people who actually don't make any money on their transaction because everyone else made all the money and they didn't.
That's actually how one of my guests, I'm forgetting exactly which area of the country it was in, but this was a military guy. He ended up getting out of the military, bought a home, and he found out how much the mortgage advisor made on the transaction. And he's like, I got to go become a mortgage broker. so and so that's what he did. And to your point, Zach, there's so many moving pieces in this. It's easily overwhelming for someone who's new to it. That if you're in the Ohio area and you have a trusted resource in Zach, I would just say, they're a dime a dozen, and they truly are, because just like Zach was saying, it's not like a mortgage advisor doesn't want to sell you a mortgage. They want to sell you a mortgage,
Right.
right? So Zac is going out and saying, this may not actually see you any ROI, which I think is probably rare.
I think so. I like to think so. I wish it wasn't the case, but yeah, I think you're right.
Zac, we are coming up on time here, and thank you so much for giving our audience your time here today. Where can folks go to get a hold of you?
Very simple. Just type in my name, Zachary D'Amato. You could type in Zachary D'Amato Mortgage. You can find me at www.zacharydamato.com. I'm everywhere. If you can't find me, it's my problem, not yours. Yeah, I love to connect. I got a bunch of resources, yes, but the most important thing is just schedule a call with me. I don't care if you're looking to buy or invest, 10 years from now. It doesn't matter. Let's get prepared, because I think preparation is super important. It's better to be prepared and not have an opportunity, and then have an opportunity and not be prepared. So
I couldn't agree anymore, specifically with life's biggest purchase, the biggest purchase, right? And so if you're in the Ohio area, reach out to Zac. Zac, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Dylan, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.